Thanks, Al. And now we're gonna go out to the West Coast and check in with Kaylee Nix, our own Kaylee Nix, see what's going on there at TIA. What's happening there, Kaylee?
Hey guys, it's great to be with y'all virtually, but even better to be in San Diego.
I bet it is. Hey, it's nice here today. You missed the fun last night with the weather that was coming through here.
That's what I heard, but honestly, I'd much rather be here. It's sunny, 75, and just full of exciting people to talk to at this conference. I've got 2 interviews in the bank already, 4 scheduled out for today, and a full slate of sessions to attend, and really just information to kind of take in.
What are some of the vibes you're picking up now at this TIA? Are there any kind of big themes that are starting to form or anything in the conversations you're hearing on the floor?
So the conference really kicks off this morning. We've got the keynote speech and the welcome from Ann Rinke, the president and CEO of the TIA, that'll go on at 8 o'clock this morning. Last night was just kind of the welcome sessions. We had some mingling time. We got out to an event that was sponsored by truckstop.com. It was awesome to kind of see the networking event there. And really, the vibe is just kind of super excited. I think that everybody that's here is just really, really happy to be back at an in-person event and be back at an in-person event where there aren't a ton of restrictions on movement, where there's not a ton of mask restrictions, et cetera, et cetera. And basically kind of just there's this buzz in the air right now of everybody who I think they're eager to hear from all of the exhibitors and all of the speakers and really just kind of take in a big in-person conference at a time that we're kind of in this like pivotal place right now. There's a lot of like, what's going to happen in the industry? What are we going to get out of this that could take us into the rest of this year? So I'm excited to see that. Like I said, I think I've got 9 sessions on my schedule for today to go to.
Yeah, lots of information that's going there. I get the positive buzz. I mean, it's you watch the pictures on Twitter and on LinkedIn and so on and Instagram of people going to the conference and different conferences. And I was talking with Junior yesterday saying, oh, I remember that place. I remember being right there. I remember those people right there. And you kind of get a little bit jealous of the people that are there right now. And I get the positive buzz. Are you getting any sense of the sentiment from the intermediaries as to what their view of the current market is and what kind of their concerns are?
I think there's just kind of this heightened tension so far, right? A lot of people that are here so far, and some of the conversations that I've actually heard FreightWaves and Craig Fuller's name dropped in some conversations already this last day or so. People are talking about what we're posting and kind of the general direction that Craig sees the market's going, and there's this kind of underlying tinge of not really nervousness, but it's just kind of heightened awareness that we could be in for a sense of change. And I think that it's going to be really interesting to watch what Ann Rinke has to say to open this up, especially because we're in this place of kind of this pivotal turn. So they're starting off with that, and that'll be the keynote address. There's also the board meeting, the annual board meeting follows straight after that, which I'm going to sit in, and they're going to kind of talk through the goals for TIA for 2022, what they're looking at as far as intermediary representation, what kind of their governmental affairs goals are, and kind of just give us a bigger overview of what the association is looking at to do this year. There's also a Washington update as well from their, not Washington correspondent, but their Washington representative that I would really, really be interested in sitting in, especially as I just heard you guys talking about the Ocean Shipping Reform Act and the deals with the FMC and the infrastructure bill, and I think they're going to kind of cover a little bit of that. Something else interesting, I sat down with a congressional candidate yesterday who represents one of the districts in Michigan, who is here to kind of kick off his congressional campaign. And you might be thinking, like, he's a Michigan Congress hopeful person. What is he doing in California? Mm-hmm. But he's here running on the platform of fighting for transportation, and specifically on the platform of being opposed to the AB5 regulation and what that would mean for not only the state drivers of California, which it's a state law, so it's kind of jurisdiction at that state level, but he wants to kind of take the fight to prevent it from happening at a federal level. The interesting thing about that is that the TIA is actually endorsing him as a political candidate, which is one of the first political endorsements that he made. So that's going to be pretty interesting to watch shake out, and hoping that they'll talk a little bit about that in the Washington update as well.
I think that's a very interesting point. This is the first time the TIA has actually endorsed someone, and under that A5 regulations regarding like contracted work and contractor status. Do you think that this may lead to further endorsements and kind of instead of the traditional lobbying, maybe let's get a little more creative and start picking specific candidates?
So I don't really know. I think that it's an interesting kind of take on where political and personal relationships could live in this industry, especially because this candidate doesn't have a transportation or freight background. He's got a background in sales. So sitting down with him was something that was interesting to me because he kind of told me, he was like, I'm not coming into this political arena really as like a true politician. I'm coming into this as someone who is just trying to sell myself to represent these constituents. But in the bigger picture, he wants to represent the entire driver market and really those independent owner-operator contracts as well. And I think that this could open up the door to see more of these industry associations, people like OIDA, and maybe adding some true endorsement behind candidates, which we don't really typically see.
Yeah, it's interesting, and at the same time, a little bit concerning to me. I'm not a big big government type of guy, and I like to see the attention when it's efficient and works right, especially in our industry. But when it starts to become political, hey, vote for me or not vote for me type of thing, it can get bastardized pretty quickly. But it's very, very interesting. Hopefully, this guy does well and does well for our industry. Very interesting stuff. Thank you so much, Kaylee. So you got today and tomorrow, right?
I'm also really looking forward to, there's 60 different learning labs at this conference. And so they're little breakout rooms that you can pop into and out of. And it's basically any single piece an intermediary could want, talking from digital brokerage to growing your capacity strategy to managing your employees in a remote sense. And so I think every single facet of the industry and every single piece that a broker could want is going to be represented at this conference. So I'm just really pumped to kind of check it out and do a lot of learning myself too. I feel like in everything that I talk about, everything that I cover, I still have a lot of learning to do when it comes to understanding brokerage. So hopefully this will kind of beef up my knowledge as well.
Yeah, absolutely. 34 years, I learn something new every single day anyways, Kaylee. So just keep digging in there. Great stuff. And can't wait to see you back here again.
Yeah, guys, we'll see you next week.